Chris,
Dave.
podcast 77.
Yeah, man.
Now, two podcasts ago, I think it was, that you said that you were going to surprise me with a topic that I don't know where you got this from, if you've
Yeah.
seen it or somebody asked you about it, but supposedly you're gonna put it to me today with some questions or something.
Some
So so what is up? Where did this come from and what is
this
it?
when I went to the YouTube rendezvous over in Clarion, that's
Mm,
where a group of YouTube guys meet up for a weekend. They camp out and share ideas and things and have little
I went
competitions and
I
stuff.
went there once.
Yes, you did. You went there once. So for the folks listening, that's what it's about. Yeah, it's like a meetup thing, camp over weekend type deal. But there was a guy there that he's actually a trapper,
Okay.
and he's getting into hunting a little heavier, and he had a question, and
Hmm.
he asked, why do bucks disappear during the season when they've been there on his property all season long?
Ooh.
And the situation is, he was telling me, he lives up against this portion of property that has I think he said it was a power line,
Hmm.
and they come in and they mow that off. And what he does, he goes out and he spreads a little seed here and there, while it's mowed down, and he gets like a little food plot rolling there. But yeah, he claims that the bucks, he sees them all year, and then as soon as the season comes, they disappear. And that, I mean, that's a common thing. It really
Very common.
is.
Yeah, very common.
Uh, I mean, so he's not alone on this, and some of the stuff that we're gonna say here is probably, you know pretty simple stuff, but a lot of people overlook the simple stuff and make it complicated.
Hmm.
So let's just start out, and I'll give like a list of stuff, and you can agree or disagree, or you can just rebuttal. And
That's
some
fun.
of the things I thought of
Hmm.
was
See,
obviously,
this is unfair. You got to prep for this.
yeah, I did a little bit. I prepped. It, the tables have turned.
All right,
So
trickster.
yeah, some of the things that changed at that point of the year,
Hmm.
obviously, is food and pressure. There's a lot of pressure starting. People are hitting the woods. But he claimed this property is not pressured
Okay.
because it's a tract of land and it's behind his house. And so, like, I kind of rolled that out. But for other folks listening, obviously, that's where everybody gets the October law. They want to talk about the October law talk. Um, that a lot of that is due to hunter pressure. But the food's changing at that point of the year too. You're getting things that are becoming more palatable. Things are becoming mature. That type of scenario. Um,
Oaks
they
dropping.
they could be seeking the very valuable food that is seasonal at that time, like Dave just said. The acorns are dropping, the apples and the pears and things are dropping. The berries are, the bushes are full of berries and things. Um, and they have a difference in hormones at that point in time of year too. They're ramping up. They're entering the seeking phase. Some of the more mature does, some of them come in really early. Uh, so they're out checking each doe or whatever, so they may be following a group of does around, and they might be getting led off of the property.
Hmm.
They might be going to the neighbor's property and seeking does there, or the better food. You know, this guy is not really a food plotter. He said he throws some seeds out here and there, but he's not really having a very, palatable buffet for them. It's
Hmm.
just something that he tosses out there. And so, like, I was trying to ask him, and I didn't get really good answers, but I was trying to ask him, if he had some browse around, if he had the different types of trees around and the berries and the bushes and all that. Well, he wasn't real sure what was all there because some of the property is not his, so he's not out looking. He just knows what's there in his backyard, that type of thing. But I was telling him too, that there's certain that time of year too, there's dispersal. The bucks are dominance. They're pushing each other around. Some are getting run off. These bucks are, creating a harem and following the does around, waiting for one to come in, you know, to come into the estrus stage for the breeding. And I mean, it just comes down to a dominance thing at some point in time there during the first couple weeks. Also, they're pushing
Hmm.
around. I mentioned to him also, a lot of them, the more mature deer, some of them just don't get all that excited. Some of them will just store up energy and just shack up somewhere, and somewhere way thick. You know, you're out there hunting on an edge of an open area like this power line or something, you know, and that's not really where they're hanging. They're hanging. It's hot, it's still hot that time of year. They're hanging back where it's cool and it's dark and it's probably damp, and they're just storing up energy. And they're probably not most of them, but some of them are probably still there on his property, but they're just coming out at night, storing up energy, coming out, checking the does, and going back.
Hmm.
You know, this these are the things that I was coming up with, you know, trying to tell him reasons why he may not be seeing them, you know. Because, I mean, when someone asks you a question like that, they've in the back of their head, they already have the answers, you know, like to rebuttal what you're going to tell them, Because as soon as I said like pressure, he's like, oh, there's no pressure, and there's lots of food. And, that, so, I'm not arguing with somebody. They ask me, I'm going to tell them. But,
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I just came up with a list of things where I could think. Is there anything you can think of that you could pass on?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. So, um, food wise, yes, like it changes that time of year. Um, you got the oaks dropping and everything, and they're going to go to them.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any, like, that could be an issue.
Yeah, sure.
Um, Now, obviously, acorns and stuff are hard to digest, so they're going to need some green foliage to eat to that's high in moisture to kind of wash it down. Um, like in Maryland, the deer season starts in September.
Yeah.
You know, you guys start in October, so
Hmm.
I know just from living here forever that those first couple days of the season, unpressured, you can still catch them, coming from food to bedding,
Hmm.
bedding to food, bedding to food. But soon as that pressure starts, they're gone.
Yeah.
For instance, I put tons of trail cameras out last year on this public land. The public land is majority ag. All season long, all summer long, up literally up to the opening day of the season, I had these bucks, big bucks, coming out to these on a particular pattern from bedding to food. There, they hide and bed in these cattails, and they come out of these cattail swamps, and they work their way out to food. Literally, that opening day, gone,
Yeah.
completely gone, and it's what happened. Hunting season started,
Hmm.
so those deer are going to shift away from this hunting pressure. Where they go, they're going to, who knows? They're going to go somewhere where there's no people and hide out, in these swamps or whatever's around. They might even be in these thousands of acres of ag just bedding in the beans or corn somewhere
Yeah.
away from people, and they just hang out and come out, nocturnal.
Hmm.
Um, so all that's happening, like you said, in the summer, the bucks are in their bachelor group. They have velvet growing and things, and then right around that time, September, end of August, some early September-ish, they separate, they break up, and they disperse.
Yeah.
Where they disperse, I don't know where I mean, who knows? The reason why I don't know, but they separate. And at that time of year, they need different cover. In the summer, they're in probably areas where there's good airflow, where they don't have bugs and stuff, bothering them. And then when the velvet drops, like you said, hormones change, all their hormones and everything are in the antlers, and then all of a sudden it sheds off, the hormones change, and they're a completely different animal. I mean, the summertime, to me, they're kind of dumb because they're just coming from bedding, and you catch them out in the ag fields and stuff. As soon as
Right.
that velvet, shed, drops off, they're a different animal. But is it because the velvet, fell off, or is it because hunting season started? Because it's all around that same time.
Mm-hmm.
So all that kind of happens around hunting season. Here in September, you guys are a little bit different, but it's similar because I have a farm in Pennsylvania, and the trail cameras kind of do the same thing. As soon as that first week of September or something hits and that velvet drops off, you don't see the bucks anymore.
Right.
They kind of move. Um, and I think I've finally come to the conclusion with this from the past, I don't know, 5 years now consulting, is that some properties just suck. The
Yeah.
deer don't want to be there. No matter what you do to it, improve it, you can make it better. But sometimes a buck's going to go where it wants to go. It's going to bed where it wants to bed. Sometimes they just don't want to be on your property.
Yeah.
They just don't want to be there. Some properties just suck. Like this buck here on the wall, people can't see it listening, but I shot this buck in Kentucky, September 4th, third day of the season. This buck was so easy to kill because hunting season just started, and it was coming from bedding to food, bedding
Mm.
to food. Big, giant wooded areas. There's no ag around. Easy to kill. My old farm, me and you hunted on, big woods. Those bucks there did not shift. I had the same bucks on camera during the summer as I did during hunting season.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed there. It seems like this shift happens more in ag country that I've noticed because now I'm I was never really hunted ag, you know. I never really had a farm in ag country. Um, Years ago I did in Montgomery County, but Pennsylvania, my new farm is in ag. Those deer shift
Mm.
100%. They shift away. And then I'll tend to get them back a little bit around uh, end of October, early November during the rut. Then they kind of leave again, and then they're huge during opening day of rifle. That place comes to life opening day of rifle.
Mm.
That first week of the rifle season. But there's so many things happening. I don't think anybody will ever figure it out and know 100% what it is.
No.
It's all a guess. Yes,
Mm.
there's things you can do to minimize it and I guess attract them, you know, but either way, a deer is going to do what it's going to do and you can't really stop it.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. I mean, and like I said, the guy was just it was just a genuine question, and I said, we need to talk about this because there's lots of people out there that want to know the same thing, you know.
Hmm.
And like I said, some of it's common sense, you know, but if you can link a few of those things together, you can kill a buck,
Hmm.
you know. So, some things to think about for sure.
Well, I think some people get a misunderstanding. Like maybe they have like 20 acres to hunt and they're like, oh my God, where'd the deer go? Where'd the bucks go? It's like, dude, you're on 20 acres. A deer roams out of that 20 acres. He
For
might
sure.
be a mile away.
Yeah.
I've seen, I guess, some studies and stuff that I saw where these bucks disperse in September or whatever. There could be 5 miles away. You know, of them dispersing from their home, I guess from their home range, or core area. They leave 5 miles, 10 miles away. I mean, that's
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Why do they do that? Where do they go? Why? How does that deer
They must just
know?
they're just running does, I guess. You
Well,
know.
not during September.
Oh, September
Or
you meant.
yeah, and so I'm saying when they leave in September, how do they know?
Yeah, I
It's
don't
so
know.
it's so
I
cool.
thought you
How do
meant
they?
during the rut.
No, no, the rut. They're gonna be chasing does, but that early September, how do they know to go 5 miles away?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
I mean, unless they're a little bit more mature and they could remember where there was good food, you
Hmm.
know. I
No
mean,
stress.
they claim they can remember and find, like where they had oak dropping and
Yeah.
things, you
Hmm.
know. Same with the bears. Like the bears can roam around and they can remember where the good trees were, like the beech nuts and the white oak and things.
Hmm.
You know, they know where to find a meal. You know,
Hmm.
like how do they know what day of the week it is here? Because they literally people put their garbage out Sunday night and it's picked up on Monday morning, and the bears know to come and tear
Tor-
apart the garbage that night. How?
tor- Tornado warning.
You
Sorry.
know, you got a
Um,
tornado warning. Holy
yeah,
smokes.
it just popped up on my phone. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I
Okay.
remember the uh the old VHS tapes of Roger Raglan. I love
Hmm.
Roger Raglan. Me and you, I think, watched his videos about a million times. But his videos in the summer or September, he would look for those acorns,
Hmm.
and where those acorns were, he would set up, and
Yeah.
he'd kill these bucks.
Right.
Um, I don't have oaks on my farm. I didn't have oaks on the old farm. I didn't have oaks on the farm I hunted in Montgomery County. There was no oaks. But if you can find the oaks, and you can get in there and set up in the afternoons, and hunt the oaks, and you have a simple situation where, okay, you have this big bedding area, and you can hunt a pinch point or something coming to an oak tree. That type of setup, you can get the bucks coming in, but
Mm.
it's very difficult because the pressure's on.
Yeah.
He might be 20 minutes past shooting light, and you're gone and it's dark. So it's like it's very hard, and unless you have hundreds of acres that's undisturbed, on private land, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough to get a buck in daylight.
Well, that and everybody thinks they can keep deer on their land.
You're not keeping them on
It's
there.
just not going to happen unless, like you said, unless you have a couple hundred acres and they stay there undisturbed.
Hmm.
Yeah, they'll stick around to a point, but
Hmm.
they're gonna roam. You can't
Yeah,
pinpoint them. All you
yeah.
can do is sit them out and wait.
I think you can do things to keep them on your land for longer periods of time,
Sure.
and maybe that might help, that daylight opportunity. But
Hmm.
you're not keeping the deer there.
No,
No,
they're
a
wild.
hundred. Yeah, that's a wild animal.
It's a wild animal.
And I think that's the goal, is to do things, improvements and stuff to try to
Sure.
keep them there for longer periods of time. That
Sure.
way, if they're on your land, it should eventually give you an opportunity to kill it.
Yep. So let's switch gears real fast.
Yeah,
Just just throw this one out there.
just
I saw this week that another state is banning cameras.
another one.
Yeah, Iowa. The state of
Iowa.
Iowa is banning trail cameras.
What was the other one? Kansas, right?
Ugh, I
Last
can't
year.
remember. I can't
I
remember
remember
which
we
one that was.
I remember we briefly talked about it last year, but I thought it was
Well, you know
Kansas.
me and my memory. I don't remember well, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you can't remember what you
it
ate.
was one of those Midwest states like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, but like, I mean, I kind of get why they're doing it. Some of these states, I
It's
mean,
public land, right?
I don't know if it's everywhere or what. I really didn't read any articles up
I'm
on it.
pretty sure
I just
it's
seen that
only
I just seen a big ad that said Iowa bans trail cameras. I don't
pretty
know if
sure it's only public land.
might be statewide. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of get why some of these people do it. I mean, why these states do it. Some of them think that it makes it easier for you to pinpoint deer, and it's unfair to the deer. You know,
I
but
mean,
if you've got a strategy through the state to take out so many deer a year, they ought not to complain about you having an advantage over the deer. Yeah,
mhm. I mean, I get it. I mean, it definitely. I mean, not gonna lie, it definitely makes it a little bit easier.
it does.
But everything makes it a little bit easier.
Sure, all
You know,
technology does.
baiting. People that hunt over corn piles or
Yeah,
food plots. I mean, a compound bow with a sight on it. I mean,
yeah,
it all makes it a little bit easier.
yeah,
But the trail cameras, hey, I mean, it tells you what's there, and
yeah.
I think the complaint is, I think it's only public land, and it's these people that hike the land and they want to go out there and enjoy themselves, and they don't want to be on camera. I think that's what I think that's what it's really about.
I don't know.
Um, I don't know if I didn't read the art. I don't know, but I think that's what I saw last year when we whatever that other state was.
Yeah. What are they afraid of? That's I don't know.
Well, they don't want to be on camera. Like, I mean, I get that, but like, you can't leave your house without being on camera. I mean, you're on
Right.
camera all the time. So
You
what's the
pull up to a
difference?
red light, you're on camera.
Right, you're on camera. It's what's the difference?
You go into a sheets, you're on camera.
You're on camera everywhere.
You know.
Hmm.
Now they're having facial recognition and all this stuff.
Yeah. Do you hear about these Amazon grocery stores now? They're building Amazon grocery stores. You walk in, there's about 1,000 cameras in there, and it tracks you as you go through the store. And you sign in with your Amazon account. So when you take a product off the shelves are weighted. They have weights on them. So when you take that product off the shelf, it automatically bills your account
Oh,
through the cameras.
what if you don't want it? You put it
You
back
you
down.
you put it back on the shelf and it deducts it off your account.
Oh, okay.
Now, how crazy is that?
That is.
So you're on camera all the time. So
Yeah.
what's the difference if
I don't know.
there's a camera out in the woods?
I don't know. See, because last year, for instance, I had a I had a specific camera on a specific mock scrape, and had had they not caught this criminal, I would have had lots of intel for the cops
Hmm.
because this joker stopped in front of my cell or in front of my camera and was taking a breather. And not only one camera, but I got him on two different cameras actually. And this this joker, he was running from the cops and he jumped in the river and swam the river and he come up the other side of the mountain where my cameras are and he found a tram road where I had a bunch of mock scrapes made and he was following the tram road out. And yeah, I got him on camera a bunch of times. And
Speaking
then
of river, did you get my anchor?
no, haven't been down there.
Okay. Where you
No.
almost sunk us.
Yeah, you tried to kill us.
Speaking of,
You tried to drown us.
I tried to drown you. Speaking of cameras, you got some cameras out, right, for summer prep?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Three ca
I've
How many
got
did you put out?
I've got four cameras out for mock scrapes. I got a camera just watching my clover plot behind camp. I got camera down below watching.
Reason I ask you this, because you asked me the question earlier in the podcast, the summer buck thing.
Hmm.
So with these cameras that you're putting out now,
Hmm.
do you are you seeing these same bucks during the summer as you do in the fall for hunting?
Not always.
Do you see some?
A couple.
Okay.
Sometimes.
So
Like
out of
that last year, 2 years ago when I shot that bear. Was that 2 years ago or three? Anyhow, when I got that last bear I got it with the rifle.
mhm.
That was the first time ever, ever that I had a buck and a bear on a camera, and was able to kill it. I shot that specific. I was going back through my game camera pictures, and I was like, "Hey, there's the buck I shot. Oh, hey, there's the bear I shot." You know, that was the first time ever that happened. That I actually harvested something that I had trail camera pictures of.
So if you had $10 in the summer on trail camera, how
Hmm.
many would you say that you physically see during the fall?
Well, last year was a different year for me. That I had a buck factory. So last year was phenomenal.
I'm talking about on the mountain.
On the mountain, I very rarely see, even if I have pictures of them all fall, a lot of times they disappear and I'll see different bucks.
Okay.
I,
That's what
I
I was
do.
getting at.
I do
Yeah.
see, because that is like a huge transition over there. You don't know what you're going to see. You really don't. Um,
But the mother-in-laws,
yeah, the
you see
mother-in-law's last year was ridiculous.
you see the same bucks.
I was seeing the same bucks until the neighbor people shot two of them.
Hmm. So that literally tells you that it's property dependent.
Yeah, sure it
It,
is.
it all changes because, like I said, the old farm me and you hunted on, 100 acres, but it was surrounded by hundreds of acres, thousands.
Yeah.
Um, I seen the same bucks as I did in the summer as the
Right.
fall.
Yeah.
Ag country. I had a 275-acre property in Montgomery County, Maryland. Kind of like a club I was in. Hunted there for 7 years. It was ag situations. I did not see the same bucks as I did in the summer
Mhm.
as I did in the fall. My farm now in Pennsylvania, totally ag. I mean, thousands of acres of ag.
Yeah.
I do not see, I shouldn't say that because I rarely see the same bucks as I do in the summer as I do in the fall, except the first year where I killed that buck 210. I had that deer all summer long. He disappeared during September, but he came back all of October and November, and I killed him opening day of rifle season.
Hmm.
So it varies from
It,
property to property.
yeah.
And, big woods, ag, pressure, food, you got to look at all this.
Yeah.
And most times, there's not much you can do about it. It's a wild animal.
It is. And all you can do is use those game cameras and put yourself in the best scenario you can.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of times it's just a waiting game.
Yeah.
It's a guessing game.
Hmm.
I mean, I know there's people out there that say, "Oh, I got these animals all figured out." I know where they're coming from. I know where they're bedding. I know where they're going. Maybe, maybe the first week of season you might have them
Hmm.
patterned because
After that,
they're
different.
after you bump them a couple of times, it's all different.
Yep.
It's
It
all
changes
different.
so much. I mean, I was so amped up last year for opening day because I had these bucks on public land, and man, I'm talking literally up until the day before the season. I had these bucks. As soon as the season started, gone. Like
Yeah.
like it was it's like magic. Like they were
Right.
there and then gone.
Right.
What happened? The season started.
Yeah. The first couple of days across the road, yeah, I would see them every night, and I would be texting you from the tree like, "Hey, I'm stuck in the tree again. I'm staying in the tree till 9, quarter after
Hmm.
9 at night, so I can get down."
Hmm.
But after about a week of that, they were coming later and later and later until they just got to be nocturnal on me,
Yep.
you know. So,
Yep.
and then I wouldn't see any of the bigger bucks until the rut started happening. They
Hmm.
started chasing the doe around the
And
fields.
all that happened that you started seeing them later and later and later is they just stayed bedded
Yeah,
until it
yeah,
was later in the night, and then they move.
yep,
And
yep.
that's because of pressure.
Mhm.
I'm sure they probably started, man, I'm getting blown up with these tornado warnings.
Wow.
They just started seeing hunters, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They probably saw you a few times and they were like,
Mhm.
okay, it's they know what's going on. We're going to
Yep.
stay bedded longer into the night, and then we're going to come out at nighttime. That's all it is.
That's it, guys. Okay. Episode 77. Where
Right.
did my bucks go when they've been here all year and now they're
I'll,
gone?
I'll remember this for 78 because I'm going to set you up with something.
Oh, no.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on 78.